Good morning, students. Today we are going to start new chapter, that is excretion and osmoregulation. Metabolism, that is the reaction or the biological reactions like catabolic reactions in which some material gets break down, or anabolic reaction where some material is formed or synthesized. So these both catabolic anabolic reactions together called as metabolic reactions, and the phenomena is called as metabolism. So metabolism produces a variety of byproducts, that means some products which are formed but some of which need to be eliminated. So these products which are formed in this process, which are not useful, which must be removed from our body, such products, byproducts, are called as metabolic waste products. So metabolic waste products might be fluid, gaseous, organic or inorganic. So it may be fluid or gaseous, that means the state of the matter, or maybe organic, means with the content of carbon, or maybe not, then it is inorganic. Depending on the type, they are eliminated through the various organs of the body of an organism. So they are eliminated through the various organs of the body of an organism in different animals. It can be seen by different methods. So excretion and excretory products, elimination of nitrogenous waste products outside the body is called excretion. So excretory products produced in human body, there is a list which is given. First, fluids such as water, that means in our breathing, respiration, cellular respiration, where the breakdown of glucose takes place, where it is oxidized, so oxygen is utilized, and water vapor and carbon dioxide is formed. So the second one, that is gaseous waste like carbon dioxide. Nitrogenous waste like ammonia, urea and uric acid, creatinine, mineral salts of sodium, potassium, calcium, etc. all are inorganic material which are formed in this process, so which are present in the body, excess amount are excreted through the urine, so which are required for the body in specific limit, but if it is exceeds its limit, then it is fatal or poisonous, toxic to our body, so it must be removed from the body. Feces and sweat. Feces, that is the digested material that we can say, and the sweat, that is our uh, what we can say, our sweat, that is also contains a kind of waste material like urea and nitrogenous waste, that's why it smells bad. Pigments which are formed due to breakdown of hemoglobin are like bilirubin, which actually excreted through the feces, and urochrome, that is eliminated through the urine. So bilirubin and urochrome, these are the one of the kind of byproducts, or we can say the waste material of the hemoglobin after it gets break down. So when RBCs gets break down in the liver, which forms bilirubin and urochrome. Pigments present in the foodstuff like that we eat, food that we eat like beetroot, where the red colored pigments are there, even in carrot, even in tomato. So that pigments which are present in the foodstuff are removed, which are consumed by the organism. If they are in excess amount, they can be removed by the excretory system. Excessive amount of vitamins and hormones which are not required by the body because they are required in very less amount. So if they exceed then their limit, they are excreted from the body. Drugs taken are eliminated. Drugs that are the medicines, if taken, that are in the form of protein, which are also eliminated by the process of excretion. Generally we consume spices that are which contains the volatile substances, because of that it gives a kind of flaming inflammation sensation, that are also excreted through the lungs in the volatile substances form. But the body of an organism can store excess carbohydrates as glycogen inside the liver fat, inside the adipose tissue. There is no any provision for the storage of excess amino acids in our body. Hence, excess amino acids are essentially broken down by a process called deamination. Deamination, that means the removal of amino acids. In this process, amino group is separated from the amino acid and ammonia is formed. So toxic ammonia is either excreted as it is or further converted to less toxic forms like urea or uric acid before excretion. So our body cannot remove ammonia because it is toxic to all the parts of the body, each and every cell. So which must be get converted into the little bit less toxic form, that is the urea or uric acid. Mode of excretion. On the basis of nitrogenous waste material produced inside the body, animals are classified into three types: ammonotelic animals, urotelic animals, uricotelic animals. Ammonotelism. The process by which nitrogenous waste is eliminated in the form of ammonia is called ammonotelism. So ammonia is excreted in the form of its pure form, and the animals which are known as ammonotelic animals. Ammonia is highly soluble in water and highly toxic to the body, but its toxicity can be lowered down with the dilution by the process of simple diffusion. So elimination of ammonia requires large quantity of water. To eliminate 1 gram of ammonia, about 300 to 500 ml of water is required. So this quantity is quite high. So ammonotelism can be preferred by the aquatic animals only. So ammonotelism is observed in aquatic vertebrates like bony fishes and tadpole larvae of frog. In these animals, ammonotelism takes place through the skin, gills and kidney. Tadpole larva is a frog which is aquatic in nature. That is a larval stage that we have studied in the chapter Animal Classification, Kingdom Animalia, where we have studied they are showing indirect development. That means first larval stage and then the adult one. So larva of frog is aquatic in nature. So the nitrogenous waste material is eliminated in the form of ammonia. So that ammonia is very toxic, soluble in water, and removed from such ammonia requires large quantity of water. So they are aquatic animals are surrounded by the water only. Hence tadpole larvae are ammonotelic in nature. Next one, that is ureotelic. The process by which nitrogenous waste material is eliminated in the form of urea is known as ureotelism, and the animal called ureotelic animal. In liver of these animals, ammonia combines with carbon dioxide to form urea by process of ornithine cycle in liver. So in the ornithine cycle, that ammonia gets converted into less toxic form, that is the urea. So urea can be stored for some time in the body and can be excreted at lower rate. So for the removal of 1 gram of urea, 50 ml of water is required. So ureotelic is observed in terrestrial animals like frog, turtles, toad, mammals and marine fishes. In mammals, there is no sufficient amount of water to excrete ammonia. So therefore, ammonia gets combined with carbon dioxide to form urea, such as urea is less toxic and can be stored for a long time in the body and then excreted along with the less availability of waste in the form of urea. So terrestrial animals, those who can afford at least little bit loss of water, they are ureotelic. Next one, that is uricotelic. So the process by which organisms eliminate nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid is known as uricotelism, and the animal are known as uricotelic animals. These animals are actually excrete their ammonia by converting it into the urea, into the uric acid, and the pathway, that is inosinic pathway. So this inosinic pathway is responsible for the conversion of nitrogenous waste into uric acid, which is insoluble in water and which is very less toxic, and it can be removed outside the body in the form of paste or the pellets. So that you can find out at the where the wall lizards live, they leaves one of the kind of pellet, a white pellet behind on the walls, even a kind of paste which is excreted by the birds. For the removal of uric acid, negligible water is required. That is, for 1 gram of uric acid, for the 10 ml water is required. So ureotelic And ureotelism is seen in the animals, those who are actually lives in a kind of uh, drought places or dry places like Rajasthan and all. So animals like snail, birds, terrestrial insects, lizards and snakes. These are the examples. In birds, ammonia is converted into uric acid. For the removal of uric acid, very less quantity of water is required, and which helps the conservation of water, by which the weight of bird's body is reduced. This is the flight adaptations. Hence, the bird's nitrogenous waste is uric acid. Next one, that is guanotelism. In some animals, guanine, there is nitrogenous base that we have studied in 10 standard, that is nitrogenous base in DNA and RNA. So nitrogenous base is a nitrogenous waste of some animals in the form of which is removed outside the body. They are known as guanotelic animals, and the phenomena is known as guanotelism. For example, spiders, scorpions and penguins. Here is the difference between all these three is given. During the skeletal muscles contraction, skeletal muscle, that means which facilitate for the movement of the body or the part of the movement of the part of the body, where the catabolism of creatine and phosphate is carried out to produce plasma creatinine, and which provides a ready source of high energy of phosphate. So phosphate, which is required for the formation of energy. Normally blood creatinine levels remain steady because of the rate of production is equal to its excretion in urine. Hence, level above the normal is indication of poor renal function. If kidney is not functioning well, that means the amount of creatinine will be increased in the body. So when we got sick, and sometimes if a doctor don't found any reason behind it, so blood tests are done. In that pathology, that blood tests are actually checking of creatinine. That means is there any dysfunction of kidneys there. Excretory organ play an important role in maintenance of constant internal environment of the body called homeostasis. It requires osmoregulation. Means homeostasis, that means the environment, that is the maintenance of the temperature of the body. So it requires osmoregulation, that is the help with the help of water. The process of controlling solute concentration, that means the material which gets diluted, and the water balance. So it can be rightly said the composition of blood and internal environment, that is our body, that is the blood, which is not determined by what mouth ingests, but by what excretory organs retain. So osmoregulation is not maintained by what we eat, what we drink. It will be maintained by our kidney, that is excretory organ. Marine birds like albatross spend their lives on the sea. They drink is that salty water. So they have special glands called salt glands near nostrils. So these salt glands near nostrils, and these are capable of secreting the salts by active transport and help them manage osmotic balance. Many marine organisms like sea turtles and marine iguanas also have such salt excreting glands. So they drink salt water and they excrete that salt from their excreting gland. Animals can neither be sorry uh, uh, can neither be either be isoosmotic to the surrounding, that is osmoconformers, or control internal environment independent of external environment, that is osmoregulators. That means animals at least have to maintain their body's salt water relation according to the environment, that is osmoconformers, or the control internal environment independent of external environment. That means they have to maintain their own body water salt relation. Marine organisms mostly are osmoconformers because their body fluids and external environment are isomotic in nature. Osmotic in nature means they are actually forming or maintaining their ions in their blood, means water salt relation according to the environment. Freshwater forms and terrestrial organisms are osmoregulators. That means the animals which are found in the freshwater and also the terrestrial. That means we are osmoregulators. The conformers or regulators, most organisms can tolerate only narrow range of salt concentration. So such organisms are called stenohaline organisms. Steno means narrow. That means and haline means salty. The organism means we cannot tolerate more amount of salt than our limit. The organisms which are capable of handling wide ranges of salinity are called eurohaline organisms. For example, barnacles and calms. Barnacles, which are the white colored insects, which are sedentary insects, grows on the rocks on the seashore. Excretory organs in organisms. Unicellular forms have contractile vacuoles which collect and discharge waste products outside the cell. That means in unicellular only single cell have to perform the all functions, where they are performing their all functions. That's why they are collecting the vacuoles, that are the empty spaces inside the cell, and discharge that waste product outside the cell. In the sponges, that is in the porifera, excretion takes place by the diffusion of waste material in water, which is discharged through the osculum. So water current is continuously flowing inside their body. That's why it's easy for excretion. So there is no excretory system is required. Animals having bilateral symmetry shows the true organs of excretion. That is the most of the common type of simple or branching tube, which is called nephridia, and which opens to the exterior through pores, which are called nephridiopores. So there is nephridia or nephridiopores are actually one of the kind of basic level of the starting point or the pioneer of the excretory system. Crustaceans have green glands as excretory organs. Members of Echinodermata does not. Crustacean means uh, they are belongs to arthropoda. Members of Echinodermata does not have special organ of excretion. They excrete directly by diffusion or with the help of tube feet, because they have water vascular system in their body. In mammals, excretion is by kidney having functional unit nephron. Like in our kidney, there are so many nephrons. So types of nephridia: protonephridia and metanephridia. Protonephridia, these are the network of dead end tubes which are called flame cells, which are just dead end cells which are performs the function like a tube. They are found in animals in which true coelom, that is body cavity, is absent. For example, platyhelminthes, some annelids and amphioxus. Metanephridia, these are unbranched coil tubes which are connected to the body cavity to the funnel-like structure, and that funnel-like structure which actually uh, opens to absorb a kind of waste material, that is called as nephrostome. Body fluid enters inside the nephridium through the nephridiopore, that is one of the opening. For example, earthworm. Human excretory system that we are going to study in the next lecture. Thank you all of you.